Full disclosure has been requesting an interview with jailed attorney Richard I. Fine for the past year that he has been in solitary coercive confinement in the LA County Jail. Here is the final response we got from the sheriff's spokesman.
Hi, Leslie. This is Steve Whitmore. I am unfortunately the bearer of bad news. The sheriff has repeatedly told me that that will not happen, and so your request has been denied. And he has not. I just talked to him yesterday about this, and he said it again. He said, no, that's not going to happen. So it's not going to happen, Leslie, and I'm sorry to have to deliver that to you.
Not to be denied, we contacted Judicial Watch attorneys Paul Orphanides and Sterling Norris, and they agreed to file a lawsuit against the Sheriff's Department on behalf of full disclosure. Suddenly, we had complete access to Mr. Fine and found ourselves in the Men's Central Jail interviewing him. What happened? We asked Sheriff Spokesman Steve Whitmore to explain right there in front of the jail.
As you know, you've interviewed Mr. Fine several times by telephone. You wanted to come in with a camera, and the cameras get complicated because of what cameras do to inmates. We all see what cameras do on the street, people, you know, acting goof and what have you. So the jails are very volatile. It's obviously not a zoo. I hate to be so derogatory, but it's not a zoo. There are inmates, there are people. The sheriff has a sense of civil rights towards the inmates, but you wanted to interview him. You filed the lawsuit, which I must tell you, and you know, and you don't believe me, but that's fine. The sheriff said to me, that has nothing to do with it. This is how it transpired. I said to him one day, getting off the elevator, I said, let's do it. Let's let Leslie Dutton talk to Richard Fine and bring in a camera. I'll go down there, I'll help. And he said, fine, let's do it. And that's how it transpired.
But he was so adamant in his denial before we filed the lawsuit.
I talked to him yesterday about this, and he said it again. He said, no, that's not going to happen. So it's not going to happen, Leslie.
What led up to his changing his mind?
The process of changing his mind was the fact that we had a visit one day, and I suggested to him, why don't we just let her do it with the camera? And he said, okay, let's do it. I know that sounds simple, and I know that you think maybe there's more machinations, if you will, that went into the decision, but that was the decision. And by the way, let me say this: if there was a sense, or even because of me saying this is not going to happen, I should have been, that falls on my shoulders. That shows on my inability to explain that, Leslie, he doesn't want you to come in with the camera. And I think I did say that, but I should have said it clearer, and I didn't. And then he changed his mind. You see, the sheriff runs the jails. He has a constitutional authority for the safety, for the conduct of housing these inmates. And the sheriff is a very sensitive man when it comes to the civil rights of inmates, for their right to privacy. The deputies, he wants his deputies in custody to be civil rights leaders. So then correct me if I'm wrong, if the question is, Steve, you said this wasn't going to happen definitively, and then it did happen, and understandably you're saying, what happened in the middle? What changed it? That's what changed it. This is presumptuous for me to say that I changed it, because I don't. He is the sheriff, and we should be fair to him. It is his decision, and he said, yes, let's let her do it.
The lawsuit didn't have a thing to do with it?
Not with the sheriff, no, not at all. Obviously, logic dictates when you take an action like that, it comes to the forefront of everybody's attention. But the sheriff didn't seem to be, I don't know if he was interested. I think he's a curious man, so he was interested. But no, but it wasn't, he said to me specifically, because I said, that's great, let's do it, but you know what, maybe I should talk to the attorneys. I said that, because I'm not very smart. And he said, that has nothing to do with my decision. Let her interview Richard Fine. He needs to make sure he signs the waivers, which he did. And he said, Steve, I want you there. So I was there.
One of the reasons we filed the lawsuit was to expose and hopefully modify the arbitrary policies of the sheriff when it comes to his operation of the jail. How is what happened going to impact the future for other reporters?
don't know. I don't know. It gets complicated. It's a good question because, as you stated, since a certain reporter from a print publication had interviewed him in person, no cameras were involved, but in person. How come I can't do it? You were insistent that you wanted your cameras there. The jail isn't like walking down the street. You know that. You've been in our jail. You've seen the inmate population. I mean, 80% of the inmate population is pre-sentenced. We've got thousands of, maybe not thousands, 700 murderers. We've got gang members. It's a violent, volatile situation in there that could erupt at any moment. So when you introduce an outside element like cameras, people may act up.
So apparently there won't be any change in the policy.
In the future, the other reporters from different channels, when they come to you, they'll have to go through the same scrutiny that we did.
Yes, oh, absolutely. Now, I don't know if they, hopefully they're not going to file a lawsuit. You filed a lawsuit against the county. Hopefully we can avoid that, only because we believe it's extraneous costs. But that's our this is a very tight budget system, a tight budget time, and I think that I have to take most of the blame for not getting you in sooner. I should have done it sooner. I didn't.
Well, we thank you for your
well, thank the sheriff.
And
the sheriff is the man, as you know, and you want to be fair to him. I'm a nobody, obviously, but it's the sheriff who's the guy. And when he said, "Yes, let's just do it. She's a reporter. This is America. This is a democracy. Let's make it work," and we did.
The lawsuit didn't have a thing to do with it.
Not with the sheriff. No, not at all.
Yeah, right. We want to know what you, the viewers, think. Please respond to our survey and be sure and leave your comments below. Number 1. Do you think that our filing the lawsuit changed the sheriff's mind? Yes or no? Number 2. Steve Whitmore took the blame. Do you think it was his fault? Yes or no? And number 3. The sheriff says cameras are prohibited to protect the inmates. Do you think that's the real reason? Yes or no? Be sure to leave your comments below. I'm Leslie Dutton. Thank you.